All right, good evening, everyone. We will call our June 20, that date's
Third.
wrong. Yeah, I'm sorry, June 25th.
Third. It's 23rd.
Well, I got the wrong date on here. All right, June 20. All right, our June 23rd Historic District Commission meeting we'll call to order. Russellville Historic District Commission was created to oversee the establishment and operation of historic districts within the city of Russellville under ordinance number 2011. And this time we'll call roll.
Greg Barbary.
Here.
J.P. Leonard. Here. Judy Galloway. Here. Suzanne Alford. Here. Betsy McGuire. Here. Beverly Hooten. Here. Regina Watkins.
Here.
Jason Warnick. Here. Michael Allenson.
All right, all members are present. And this time I would like to welcome all of our visitors to our meeting tonight. I would like to recognize Rachel with Post Oak, who is been our consultant on our new guidelines. So glad to have you here tonight and everyone else. Let's see, at this time we will review our meetings from our April 23rd meeting.
Supposed to have reviewed them already. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Yeah, whenever somebody has a motion to approve. All right, Betsy McGuire with a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Leonard. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, minutes from April 23rd are approved, and we will move on to our agenda items. First agenda item is the final review of the Downtown Russellville Historic District Guidelines with Post Oak Preservation Solutions.
Good evening. How are you all?
Good.
Hang in, because it's going to be a long evening. So this is an application for the approval of the Downtown Russellville Historic District Guidelines update. I'm not going to give you a normal staff report. I'm really just going to give you the recommendation, and then I'm going to let Rachel come up and give you a presentation on all of the guidelines so that everyone here, everyone watching, even those watching in the future, can have an understanding of what the guidelines are. So just keep these recommendations in mind. After her presentation, we would need a motion. So we will recommend as staff to forward this to City Council with a recommendation of approval as a result of the findings that this was completed as part of the certified local government grant awarded by the Arkansas Historic Preservation Program. A representative of the Arkansas Historic Preservation Program provided guidance and input throughout the entire process, ensuring that the guidelines align with state regulations. The updated guidelines provide a clear and consistent framework for preserving the historic character of downtown Russellville while accommodating appropriate rehabilitation, additions, and new development. And the guidelines align local preservation practices with the Secretary of the Interior Standards for Rehabilitation, providing a recognized and defensible basis for project review. And the document improves transparency and predictability in the certificate of appropriateness process and by clearly identifying review procedures, application requirements, and approval criteria. And the guidelines include expanded educational resources, maintenance, guidance, and preservation best practices that will assist property owners, contractors, staff, and commissioners in making informed decisions regarding historic properties. And finally, we have introduced the good, better, best evaluation model that provides applicants and the commission with greater flexibility by establishing a range of acceptable design solutions while encouraging high-quality preservation outcomes. So please, as you listen to Rachel's Presentation, remember that we will need a motion. If you all agree, you can ask any questions, but ultimately that we would forward this to City Council with a recommendation of approval. And with that, I will hand this over to Rachel.
All right, hello everyone. It's good to be back in Russellville. Good to see everyone again. For those of you who do not know me, I am Rachel Allison. I am with Post Oak Preservation. Over the past several months, we have been working on updating the design guidelines for the Downtown Historic District. So what I want to cover is kind of the process that we went through, some of the, kind of the process that we went through, some of the challenges that we identified, the project goals that we identified, and then just a quick run through of those new guidelines. So first, I am with Post Oak Preservation. We are a small historic preservation consulting firm. We are based out of Texas, but everybody kind of lives all over the place. I am currently based out of Des Moines, Iowa. And so our projects are really kind of concentrated in and around Texas, but we will go anywhere. So we have projects coast to coast. All right, so for the Russellville Design Guidelines, some of the challenges that we identified through pretty extensive outreach, we met with multiple stakeholders kind of in one-on-one meetings, group meetings, in person, virtual. We just tried to get a range of feedback and opinions from the community. So some of the challenges that we identified through speaking with folks and also doing a review of the existing documents ourselves. We saw that there was a public perception of a very stringent black and white interpretation of the guidelines. There was some desire for some more flexibility. At the same time, we heard that the guidelines needed to be more specific so that the process was more predictable. And I think that that's both for commission members as well as applicants. There was a perception that the current guidelines didn't necessarily consider economic and or technical feasibility, so cost of a project, and then whether there were accessible craftspeople to do specific work. We saw a lack of trust between the public and the Historic District Commission. We saw some confusion regarding the goals of the design guidelines and kind of maybe why there's design review in the first place. And then we saw that the existing guidelines were a little bit onerous, a little bit overwhelming for people to look through. And so kind of taking all of those things, we created a list of project goals. So one of them was to focus on the big picture when it comes to preservation. So a used building is a preserved building. So even though a project might not be perfect, if that building is in use, it is being preserved. And so to that end, the guidelines should provide multiple means of compliance. So again, even though a project might not be perfect, it is still approvable, it is still following best practices. We wanted to create a very user-friendly document. A lot of graphics, a lot of flowcharts, a lot of images. We wanted to create guidelines that were concise, consistent, and objective. So again, this is both for commission members and applicants, that sense of predictability. We wanted to create standalone chapters. So each chapter is really a standalone document. So particularly for a building owner, for an applicant, they don't need to read the document necessarily from cover to cover. We wanted this to be really accessible for folks, so they can pick out the chapter that is applicable to their project, and they can just reference that instead of reading the entire thing. We wanted to remove some of the subjective elements, so this is something that we suggest whenever we're working on design guidelines in many communities. We suggest removing elements like paint color, these things that are, paint can be a little bit subjective. It is technically reversible as long as you're painting something that's already been painted. And so I think that that's one of those easy wins to remove to regain some objectivity. And then balancing preservation and business needs. So balancing kind of best practices when it comes to preservation, while also, keeping in mind economic feasibility, and then as well as businesses that want to express themselves, that want to, use their own branding. And then finally, an educational resource. We wanted the document to be a resource for the Russellville community. So it has clarified policies, it has very clear review processes, and then we also included a maintenance guide for historic buildings and materials, so various materials and building parts, kind of best practices when it comes to those. So for the preparation process, we started this in kind of late summer, early fall of last year. We met with city staff to kind of come up with an engagement strategy. It was really important for us to meet with a lot of different people, commissioners, applicants, building owners, just various people in the community. We wanted to kind of gather a wide range of feedback. And so between fall and kind of early winter, we reviewed the existing documents. We did an on-site visit in December to kind of familiarize ourselves with the community, with the district. And then we, like I mentioned earlier, did a lot of outreach, a lot of meetings. We also did an online survey to just really gather a bunch of feedback. And then we took all of that feedback, all of this work that we had done, and we prepared 3 drafts. So the first draft was text only, and we do that so that we can really drill down on what the guidelines are actually saying. It can be a lot of kind of onerous to look at just a big block of text, but we really think that it's important to look at what they're actually saying. And then draft 2, we introduce those illustrations, those things that are making it a little bit less like a big block of text, that's making it a little bit more user-friendly. And then we've prepared the final draft, taking feedback from those first 2 drafts. So I want to quickly run through these new design guidelines kind of chapter by chapter. So really at this point, the only thing left is to adopt. So we will update the document with the adoption date. And so chapter 1 includes the introduction. So it outlines how to use the design guidelines, includes some terminology. It outlines the certificate of appropriateness process, so really clear what the commission needs to do, what applicants need to do, includes some checklists for exactly what applicants need to submit, so that's really clear. And then some information on preservation principles, kind of why we do this. It also includes, we have the table of contents, but then the introduction has this very clear laid out table that includes all of the chapters, specifically what is in each chapter and how people might use that. And then we have this other table, so if a building owner is wanting to do some work to their building, they're not quite sure where to go, this table, if they want to replace some existing signage, they know, okay, I need to look at chapters 1 and 9, but maybe I don't need to look at the rest. So again, making this really, really user-friendly for people. Chapter 2 has the history of Russellville. We really condensed this. We did this so that the main document is as slim as possible, so that people aren't, kind of looking through a bunch of pages trying to get to what they're looking for. So this provides a really brief timeline, and then it describes the downtown historic district, those criteria and areas of significance and period of significance, and then a longer history is included in an appendix. Chapter 3 outlines the existing character of Russellville, so kind of from its siting within Arkansas, within Russellville itself, the public realm, so kind of the streetscapes, the pedestrian experience, the site design where these buildings are positioned on their sites, and then the building design itself, the characteristics of these buildings and various architectural styles that are present within the district. And then Chapter 4 outlines historic preservation guidelines. So this outlines, the goal is to maintain and repair character-defining features, to repair those materials that can be retained, that are in good condition or repairable condition, and then where materials or elements are beyond repair or missing, outlines how those can be replaced, kind of the best practices there. And so as Sarah mentioned, one of the things that we introduced in these design guidelines are these good, better, best matrices. So it's very clear what is not approvable, and then it has the best case scenario. If you want to go all out, if you want to do the best possible project, this is what you can do. But if that's not feasible, if you don't want to do that for whatever reason, cost, timeline, whatever, this is how you can still have an approvable project that still falls within preservation best practices. So it just kind of outlines how you can get to that yes, that approvable project. And then we've also included a lot of example images. And so, for example, this is an example of an approvable replacement window. Here is a window that is maybe not appropriate for the district. And then chapters 4 through 10 also include a certificate of appropriateness application checklist. So again, trying to make this as easy for folks as possible. They can see exactly what they need to submit. You know what to expect in these applications. And then chapter 5 outlines additions to historic buildings. So this includes both ground level as well as rooftop. It looks at kind of the scale of additions, materials, and how that's compatible with the existing building. And then again, that certificate of appropriateness checklist. Chapter 6 outlines new construction guidelines. So new construction on a property that has lost its building, that is currently vacant. So it's looking at orientation, setback, again, compatibility within the existing district. We have some more good, better, best matrices. So again, very, very clear what is not approvable, but then how to kind of craft a project that is approvable, but also fits within, your own economic timeline kind of guidelines. We use the fresh approach, so this kind of outlines the major components of new construction, so the footprint, kind of where the building is, or the new building is situated, the roof, envelope and massing, exterior materials, and fenestration. And then chapter 7 outlines the public realm and public art guidelines. So public realm, kind of how people are moving through the space, the streetscape, sidewalks, as well as public art. So freestanding art, as well as murals and art that is attached to buildings. Chapter 8 describes lighting, the public realm, as well as buildings. Chapter 9 describes signage, and this has a section on ghost signs as well as new signage on buildings. And then finally, Chapter 10 outlines demolitions. So if a property owner wishes to demolish a building, these are the steps that they would need to take in order to carry that out. And then appendices. We've included a lot in the appendices, but we're really hoping that this will serve as a reference for people. So there are the Secretary of Interior standards for rehab. There's that maintenance and repair guide that kind of explains, how to repair a window or how to clean masonry, just kind of preservation best practices as a reference. That history of Russellville. We've included a historic resource inventory, and so this includes all of the buildings that are in the district, and we've included photos. And so we have current photos for every building, and then we've tried really hard to get as many historic photos as possible for each building. And so this can really serve as a reference point if, a building might be missing a historic element like a cornice. You can go back, reference that historic photo. If a property owner wants to reinstall that cornice, you can use that as a reference. And then we've included kind of this process. We've included some of the feedback that we received through our stakeholder outreach. We've included some financial resources and incentives, both local, state, and federal. And then finally, a glossary for terms that people might not be as familiar with. All right. Any questions?
Any questions? All right, so do we have a motion to approve to send to the city council for their approval and adoption? Okay. All right, so I have a motion by Suzanne and a second by Jason. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much for coming and presenting for us and for all your work on helping us develop these new guidelines. So.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure working with everyone. I really hope that this makes everyone's lives a little bit easier.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we will move on to our second item on the agenda, and that is review of the COA from the City of Russellville to approve the guidelines and the proposed amendments to ordinance number 2460. Sarah?
Yes, thank you. So this is a proposal to update the ordinance. There are a couple things with this. This ordinance would be updated to include a $100 application fee, and it would remove notification and publication requirements by applicants and put that on staff. What we find as staff is that we're always chasing down all of the notices. Can you show me, get your green slips? Did you get that published? Have you paid the courier? And it takes a lot of time by staff. Plus, as we went through the guidelines process, we were advised that we are not in alignment with the state enabling legislation. So the state enabling legislation does require that the cities notify and publish COA applications. The city does not have necessarily the funds to notify and publish without accepting an application fee. It shouldn't be the taxpayer's responsibility to pay for an applicant's project to go through. And so this covers the expenses for us to publish in the newspaper and to mail out certified letters to applicants. It does cover a little bit of additional staff time for applications, putting out signs, etc. But that was the only way we could ensure that we are always covering the fee for the COA applications. It can't be a per application. That's not an easy process to manage. So the current process does put that responsibility on applicants to mail notices, to publish in the courier, and it's just a timely, and sometimes it's challenging for applicants because unfortunately the courier's hours are not always amenable to their schedules, and so it's been a challenge at times for applicants to actually get in contact and pay for their publication, coming right down to the wire. So this does place that responsibility for notification and publication on the city. We would establish that $100 fee to offset those costs, and this update improves administrative efficiency, provides consistency for staff and applicants, and ensures that we are compliant with the state enabling legislation. And so we do recommend that you all forward this amendment to City Council with a recommendation of approval of the findings that the amendment updates the city's procedures to better align with state requirements regarding public notice and notification of adjacent property owners. The proposed changes create a more consistent and transparent notification process by placing responsibility for required notices within the city rather than individual applicants. and the $100 certificate of appropriateness application fee helps offset the administrative costs associated with application processing, public notification, and legal advertisement requirements while reducing the burden on applicants to coordinate multiple notification methods. Do you all have any questions?
All right, so if someone wants to make a motion for approval of the guidelines of the proposed amendments to ordinance 2460 and sending those to the city council. All right. I have a motion by Betsy McGuire, second. And, all right,
It was the second.
second by Beverly Newton. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. COA is approved. And we will move on to review a COA for the placement of a bronze statue of Jerry the Bulldog, the Arkansas Tech mascot, beneath the west porch of the Russellville Train Depot.
Hello. Yes, so this is a certificate of appropriateness for, as you said, it's the Jerry little bronze statue, which is about the height of your, what is this?
Yes.
It's a large, it's a nice bulldog. The artistic rendering of what it would look like is shown on your screen, and it's also got the inspiration photo that was circa 1960s. They're not planning on placing it right next to the railroad tracks as the inspiration photo shows you, but are planning on placing it under the awning on the west side of the depot. This is located at 320 West C Street. It is an individually listed building on the National Register of Historic Places. It will be located the depot is located across from Depot Sage, central to our district. As you know, the downtown is being renovated. I say that with every application. We're almost there. We're almost there. Pretty much everything in front of the depot has been taken care of. This building, originally constructed around 1910, has been restored to near original conditions and is a beautiful addition to our historic downtown. These are some images that were provided to me at 4:10 this afternoon of where this is potentially being proposed under the awning there. This shows what the size and height of Jerry would be. Although I am uncertain about exact placement of the proposed statue because the applicant has not confirmed exact placement. I don't think that they can confirm exact placement until they really know what Jerry looks like, what his finished size is going to be. But the applicant is here and can speak to that. And then lastly, some additional pictures provided at 4:10 this afternoon. So as we look at the Historic District guidelines, the current ones, not the new ones, I'll be reformatting these presentations once the new ones are adopted. This is to preserve the integrity of the structure. Proposal is to place the statue under the awning but not disturb the historic structure, although again we're unsure of the exact location. We should exercise caution about removing historic brick. Left in here that the commission may recommend that there is not a disturbance to the historic brick under the awning, but may recommend ensuring that if the statue is to be placed in that area, that historic bricks are not removed. Could recommend that the statue sits on a base resting on top of the historic brick. I know that Danielle with Main Street potentially has some additional comments to share that I did not have that information at the time that the staff report was written. And so she'll probably want to present some information at the end of this. Design goals are to enhance the perception and appearance of historic character. Adding a freestanding statue would add to the appearance and encourage more to interact with the historic buildings, and it would not detract from the area. I think it would be a really good addition to the district. comments from the design guidelines. 10.1 accessibility. The applicant has indicated that the statue is intended to be readily accessible to the public and that visitors will be encouraged to interact and photograph the installation. With only an approximate location for the proposed statue, staff does recommend approval requiring that all ADA accessible routes remain unobstructed and fully compliant. I know that they intend to make sure it's fully compliant, but still having that is potentially a condition. 10.20 is murals and freestanding public art. The proposed ATU Jerry statue, measuring approximately 4 feet tall, 5.5 feet wide, and 3 feet deep, is appropriately scaled for a pedestrian-oriented downtown environment. It will serve as a visual point of interest without overwhelming its surroundings, and the cast bronze material and warm brown patina are durable, high-quality materials that complement the character of the historic district. Given all that, it is staff's recommendation that you all approve the project with the following conditions, put an S there. Require all ADA accessible routes remain unobstructed and fully compliant with ADA regulations. The final placement of the statue shall avoid the removal of alteration of existing historic brick paving whenever feasible. Provide final placement details to the Historic Preservation Officer prior to installation to verify compliance. As a result of the findings below, the statue is appropriately scaled for the downtown environment. The statue is made of durable, high-quality materials that complement the character of the historic district. The final placement shall maintain required pedestrian clearances and ADA accessible routes. The installation is consistent with the guidelines that freestanding public art be in scale with its surroundings. The applicant intends to comply with the design goals for the treatment of historic properties as noted within the Russellville Downtown Historic District Guidelines, and the applicant has shown an intent to comply with sections 10.1 and 10.20 of the Russellville Historic District Guidelines. Are there any questions?
Yeah, comment, Betsy, or anyone have comments or
I
questions?
do. I didn't know.
And in the spirit of transparency, I didn't see, I'm the one that sent those photos to Sarah this afternoon. And Danielle, I actually went to the depot to visit with you, and you weren't there, but Sydney actually took me out and showed me where she thinks the statue might be placed. And so I think that the idea behind Jerry Bulldog is fabulous. I have 3 girls that attended Arkansas Tech, and I know how important the university is to our community as a whole. I do have some questions just based on the information that we have that was presented to us. One, in the mayor's letter, he mentioned that the statue would be placed for a minimum of 2 years. So is this not going to be a permanent installation?
This project is being funded by a state grant, state public art grant from AHPP. And so that is one of their conditions, is that it will be for a minimum of 2 years. Of course, we hope that it's there, just like some of our other public art, for even longer. But given that that letter was included with the grant application, it had to state at least a minimum of 2 years, so that the grant selection committee understands that we've read and understand and plan to adhere to all of the guidelines of the grant.
So if it weren't a permanent installation, and I understand, the rules of grants and so forth, but I actually went down those cardboard cutouts. I actually took them down because I'm very visual, like to see how things are going to actually impact the area that gets used. And so it's fairly large. It's 5.5 feet long, 4 feet wide, or 3 feet wide, and it's 4 feet tall at its highest point. And so I know that that's probably going to take a pretty sizable foundation to mount that to whatever location it's going to be placed on. So if it's under that west end porch, I know those original bricks have to be removed and replaced. I also know that that porch has been used for a number of
There are a lot of things that have gone into the consideration of the location of the statue. One is, of course, the inspiration photo that y'all saw. I also did not understand y'all have reviewed the letter of support that came from Molly Waldron. And actually, whenever she came to look at the site and write the letter of support, I had mentioned to her that we would not disturb the historic bricks, and she assured me that we probably could if we needed to. That's still not within my plan. Part of the reason that we want to place the statue under the roof is, again, so that it follows that the idea of our historic inspiration photo. Also, because it will be subject to lighting, we will have a plaque. All of those things will be able to be accommodated right there under the depot. We do not have any plans whatsoever to dispose of or to alter any of the bricks, historic or otherwise. We have a cache of bricks that are stored already at the depot. Certainly, if somebody paid for a brick, we are not going to take that away from them. We will move it to within the same area. That's already happened whenever other things have happened down at the depot. Other alterations, bricks have been moved within the same area. So that's what we would do here as well. And of course, if any brick, engraved, not engraved, historic, not historic, is, well, I say if, one, they will have to be disturbed. Those will be kept so that in case the statue ever does get moved, or in case we ever need those bricks for a repair or an expansion or any other kind of alteration, we'll have those on hand so that we can use them. We did not consider that grassy area, and a big part of it is because of the inspiration photo, but also because this does provide a little bit of protection for Jerry statue. So similar to Mr. Conductor, who is right out there and he's got kind of his big base, nobody can drive up to him. In fact, it's kind of hard to even get to him. You kind of have to climb. We wanted Jerry to be accessible so that people, again, if you're using a mobility device or if you just want to walk right up to Jerry, you can do that. However, by him being on the porch, he is still protected from, a lawnmower or something of that nature running into him.
Will the base be cast, or are you going to pour concrete?
So the anticipated manner of installation is to remove the bricks, minimize the concrete that is visible. So kind of just pouring anchors into the ground, anchoring it to the ground. Jerry is going to be quite heavy, and I do not anticipate that he will be able to be moved, and definitely not very easily. But what concerns me more than that is we sure don't want him to fall over. And especially, like I said, we want people to interact with him, so we don't want anybody to push him and have him fall over. The artist, and I don't believe this was really mentioned, but the artist that we chose was chosen with a lot of consideration. His name is Calvin Stinger, and he is actually the artist of the Whimsical Toad in Conway, as well as a few other statues that they've done. And so again, because he is familiar with the nature of public art in a historic district and using a grant, that's one of the reasons that he was chosen. A lot of the questions about the location, it sounds like, well, you don't know where you're putting it. We absolutely do know where we're putting it, but it is art. And as such, I cannot give you an exact measurement until it's completed. He cannot give me an exact measurement until it's completed. So that's part of the reason that we're trying to be a little bit flexible, and I'd much rather be flexible and talk with y'all about it at this point rather than it come in and just not meet, some sort of guidelines that I gave y'all. We want to be as transparent and as helpful as possible during the process. But yeah, I think y'all know that art is a little bit subjective, and so even though he might say this is 4 by 6, it might be 4.5 by 6. But again, I've talked about the installation, and the desire is to disrupt the site as little as possible and to minimize the appearance of a concrete pad.
Is it going to be poured or precast?
I anticipate it will be poured. But I cannot answer that for sure right now. Is there a preference?
Well, I would prefer that the bricks not get moved and Jerry be on the grass. But
Okay.
Would that be a consideration that you guys might? It's
The-
a great statue, Danielle, it really is. A lot of effort went into restoring that structure.
Of course.
Individuals actually pulled up those original bricks,
and clean them.
stacked those on pallets before they were actually placed back during the rehabilitation process. There is a lot of work. And to know that you're removing part of that original structure, which is on, we all know it's on the National Register, it's a big part, a huge draw in our downtown. It's probably the main catalyst for what's been going on with the downtown revitalization efforts. To minimize any alterations to that are totally unnecessary. And I'm well aware of that inspiration photo. I know that that was actually taken on the north side of the depot before that platform was removed years ago by the railroad. So that photo was not taken undercover. So I would think that it would create the least amount of alteration possible to that historic structure if it could be placed close to the walkway so people still have access to it, and yet it's not actually creating any alterations to that original structure at all possible. And those are my comments. You guys may not feel as strongly about that, but I would be remiss not doing my job as a commissioner, nor knowing the history of that structure and of that renovation project if I didn't just throw that out there for consideration.
Betsy, which grassy area are you referring to?
The west.
Because
The west.
I just want to, okay, on the west end, I was going to say, you got to keep in mind on the east end, the enclosed grass area has the thermal system underneath.
They've gotten rid of that.
Oh, forget that idea then. I was just going to say, needed to keep in mind, if they ever had to do work on that, it might have to be moved out of the way, but,
On that west end grass, it would still be close to that court toward the El Paso.
Where did it go?
corridor, which is that physical connection between downtown and the campus of Tech.
Which picture are you trying to find?
I know. Is it this picture that you were trying to find?
What if the statue winds up staying permanent or longer than the 2 years? What are you gonna do with those bricks that somebody has paid for that they're thinking that they're laying down?
The bricks
Well, they're
that
gonna-
people have
they're gonna
paid
put
for
those back.
would be relocated in the same general area. So those would absolutely not be stored or, they would certainly be in the area where the public can still enjoy them and appreciate them and see what their investment.
But those engraved bricks are also in the walkways. So you'd be talking about putting Jerry and Penny impeding on some of those walkways, because that's where those engraved bricks would be placed.
Well, the engraved bricks, I mean, basically there's a pretty staunch line between where the new bricks and where the old bricks meet. Of course, there's going to be a line. So, I mean, picking one over the other,
Are there-
absolutely, we're going to choose to move the newer bricks, which may involve some of those engraved bricks.
But those walkways are your ADA passageway.
I don't believe that those walkways are ADA accessible. They are brick, and I don't think that falls under that.
They were originally designed as ADA. Now
Okay,
the-
well, I'm
the
here to tell
ups
you
and
they're not
downs-
right now.
Yeah, the ups and downs over the last 20
Yeah,
years may
yeah.
have made it a little worse.
Yeah.
Are there engraved bricks, I can't remember, under the eave?
No.
Okay.
Under
And,
the eave, yes.
no, yeah, along the perimeter, but once
Yeah.
you get up into the
Those are
building.
all regular.
Correct. And I will just throw out, I'm a little indifferent where it goes right now, but I do want to remind everyone that, when we talk about moving those original bricks, they are not where they were set in 1917. They were lifted during construction, subsurface
Right.
rebuilt, placed back down. So yes, they are original. I mean, I'm not too worried about it. We did a lot of alterations. We removed some that had to be taken out of the way and couldn't be put back that are now stored. So in my mind, they could be stored if Jerry moves. It's still gonna be the exact same hole that was there, that the old bricks could be put right back in and
Not if it's
restored.
got a concrete base
Well,
that's poured.
yeah, you can lift that concrete out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not gonna dig 3 feet down. We're talking about something that's gonna be poured maybe 6 inches down there. You dig the sand out and pour it, and it could be lifted up out of there, pretty non-destructive to any of the surroundings and replace the fill. But, I mean, that was just something I wanted to make when we were talking about removing historic pavers. They have been removed, sub-base rebuilt, and then put back down. So it's not like they are there when they were put down 100 years ago, so.
I should also mention Greg was the architect on that project.
Of course,
So he knows
yes.
what he's talking about.
He knows about it.
Yes.
I just wanted to say how excited I am by this, that tie between tech and Russellville, in particular with the train depot, it's just so amazing to see this. So I really like it. So the way I understand it, it won't be on a base lifted up like Mr. Conductor. It'll be
Correct.
down low so a kid could see it, be around it,
Absolutely.
interact. Okay.
Absolutely. And, you know, this really, whenever this project came up, we were thinking about public art, and it was suggested to me by the state that we pursue some sort of freestanding art rather than, you know, some murals that we have and are amazing, but, you know, to kind of vary it up a little bit. And, you know, as a nonprofit, we do not often get a grant of this size to be able to responsibly take on a project like this. As you know, if you were involved with anything at the depot, and especially Mr. Conductor, bronze statues are not cheap, and it is not easy to find somebody that puts the work and the dedication into it as Mr. Stinger does. When this idea came up, I first, you know, talked to some people from Arkansas Tech, and they were extremely excited. It's a really neat way to integrate the history of Russellville with the history of Arkansas Tech, especially as Jerry is not a mascot, but an ambassador. It's kind of like he gets to be an ambassador of the community. Also, we do believe that this will bring people down to the depot that may not have otherwise come. And believe it or not, there are still a lot of people in this community and outside of it that have not seen the depot. That's something that I take very seriously. I have the utmost respect for all the work that has been done to preserve that building and the history of it. And that is why I want to make sure that it is not harmed. That's always been the goal.
Any other comments or questions?
I think it's a great statue. I just don't care for the placement.
That's part of the reason that we did bring in Molly and Ian, because I wanted to make sure that if there were concerns, I was aware of them, concerns beyond what I might perceive, that I was aware of them and I talked with them.
They didn't put
to
in the
resolve this.
blood, sweat, and tears that the rest of us did.
Absolutely, but you know they do put blood, sweat, and tears into their job, just as I do every single day. So
Can I ask just real quickly, I know
Sure.
ADA stuff and all, the placement and all, I know that it's kind of up in the air and all, and in the application, it was saying that it was gonna make sure to, of course, follow as much ADA
Right.
and all, have you looked at that and kind of measured out in terms of roughly kind of, and all, that everything would be ADA compliant?
we again roughly,
I know it's,
but
right
yes.
now it's a little rough.
But yes, again, I mean, a tremendous amount of work has gone in downtown, as you all have seen of late, and a big, big part of that was making sure that ADA accessibility is front and center, and we deal with that all of the time, and I'm very proud now of all the ADA accessibility we have downtown.
Thank you.
I'm also thrilled about the connection to tech and aware, since I've been on the Historic District Commission since it was formed 12 years ago or something like that, that the history combined with the things like bringing something new is really important, and the conversation may seem kind of trivial, but it helps everybody be a part of the conversation and safeguard the history and bring in
Absolutely,
something exciting.
absolutely. Thank you.
I'm personally excited about the interest in public art and the effort that went into the project. I think it's really exciting.
It's a challenge to integrate public art into a historic district for a lot of reasons, and a big part of that is that we are looking to preserve as much as we possibly can. So that's another reason I'm excited to bring this project, to show people that we can put history and art right next to each other and you know, have a respect for both.
So I guess ultimately my question is, would placing it in the grassy area, would that be an option? Approving the project, is the
Right.
placement being considered for?
I cannot answer that question tonight because that's not something I have ever explored with the artist. Had that been something, again, had the conversation with Molly and Ian gone differently and they had said, no, you absolutely cannot do this here, that's maybe something we could have explored. But, you know, given their support for the project, we went ahead and moved along with, you know, with putting it under the porch. Again, it's protected, it'll have some lighting. I know Mr. Conductor isn't protected, but I know I also have to climb up and, there's lighting under that porch. There's lighting, and if we needed to add lighting, you know, we're right there with it, you know, with a close nearby connection point.
That should be part of the COA lighting.
It's not planned at this moment. Right now, because of funding, it is planned to use existing lighting. But it could be added in the future, and of course, that would be another conversation for us all to have.
All right, any other discussion? All right, anyone want to make a motion?
I move that we approve.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the COA. I have a second.
I second it.
All right, second by Mr. Leonard. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Undecided.
Undecided.
I can't be, can I?
Indecisive. All right, the COA is approved, and we will move on to our next application, which is review of COA submitted by Van
Excuse me.
Christensen. Oh,
Can I ask for clarification? Is it just approved with conditions, without conditions? Is it just approved?
I believe approved as presented.
Well, as presented had some potential conditions. That's why I want to clarify.
Yes, with the, excuse me, with the ADA, I can't remember the exact conditions that you had in your
Yeah,
recommendation.
what was in the,
Okay, so that we require the ADA accessible
Right.
routes and that the final placement try to avoid removing historic brick.
absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
That's it.
I just wanted to clarify.
All right, we will move on to review of COA submitted by Van Christensen for reinstallation of the L-shaped arrow that is part of the original sign present at 303 West Main Street since the 1950s.
Hello. So this is approval for a COA. As you can see, there's two images here. There's the tattoo shop on the left, I think it's on your left as well, that does not have that arrow. And then the image that the applicant submitted with his application that shows that little arrow being added. This application is just to replace that arrow. But because it has been down for so long, it wasn't just taken down a couple months ago to restore it, to put it back up. We had to go through this process. This is an application at 303 West Main Street. It is a contributing building within the downtown historic district. I will point out that it has not always been contributing. Van Christensen has made repairs that has changed it from a non-contributing structure to a contributing structure. So that is super exciting, and want to congratulate and thank him for his work to bring it into a contributing status. This is located between Commerce and Denver. It's currently a tattoo business. Downtown being renovated. This was originally constructed around 1900, and it retains much of the original cornice on the building. So I think that's very cool. It is a late 19th, early 20th century commercial building. They are usually 2 to 4 stories tall, but this one is only I think it's a two-story, right? This one's a two-story? Yep. The first floor has transparent glass-fronted windows for display, simple detail at the entrance. The bulkhead is present, and the applicant is not changing any of the characters of the building. This is strictly related to the sign. So as we go through the design goals, preserve integrity of the structure. They are replacing the arrow on the existing sign, which doesn't affect the historic structure or integrity of the building. Enhance the perception and appearance of historic character. By replacing the arrow, one could consider that the perception and the appearance of the historic character is appropriate, and restore damaged historic features. Although the sign wasn't a damaged historic feature, it could tell the complete story of the district by replacing the arrow that many in the community may still remember. It was there for a large portion of time. It's been down for approximately 20-some years, but he is replacing it, so it could be restoring a feature. The design goal, or the guidelines, 10.17 is regarding lighting. The proposal is to replace the previously installed arrow on the existing sign. It would help accent the building entry. However, the design guidelines say that lighting should be shielded, and these lights are not shielded. The applicant states that the lights would not be chasing, so they're not going to be flashing, they're not going to be moving, they're going to be steady, solid lights. And he did state that they're going to be approximately 2,700 Kelvin, which is an appropriate color temperature for the district. I have that picture on the next slide. 10.27 is regarding signage. The applicant proposes to restore and reinstall the arrow element on an existing sign. It was originally removed in the early 2000s, and the proposal would return it to its original location on the sign as it previously existed. While the existing sign exceeds guidelines maximum height of 2 feet, and the arrow includes exposed light bulbs where the guidelines state that lighting should be concealed with no bare bulbs. The proposed lighting consists of clear bulb-shaped lamps with a color temperature of 2,700 Kelvin, consistent color temperature with the character of the district, with the district's lighting standards. So although the sign may not be in complete compliance with the regulations, the documentation that this previously existed in this location may show that this would be an appropriate reinstallation. So as a result, and this is that image that I was talking about that shows the different color temperatures. It goes from 1,000 Kelvin to 10,000 Kelvin, and he is somewhere between that second and third at 2,700 Kelvin, which would be an appropriate color temperature for the district. So staff finds that reinstating this feature on the existing sign may be appropriate, given that it is reinstalling what previously existed at this location, although it's not in strict compliance with the regulations. This recommendation is as a result of the findings that the proposal replaces the arrow on an existing sign, documentation provided showing that the arrow previously existed in this location. The applicant intends to use light color temperature appropriate for the district. The applicant does intend to comply with the design goals for the treatment of historic properties, and the applicant has at least shown an intent to comply with sections 10.17 and 10.27 of the guidelines. Are there any questions?
I'm just curious to know, who repaired the sign for you?
What was the question?
Who repaired the sign? Did you
I
repair?
repaired it, yeah.
Oh, cool. I think it's good. I just wondered if you had contracted it or if you did it yourself.
Yeah, now, one thing about the bulbs that go in, they'll be non-shatterproof because they'll be plastic coated. so.
Well, I
they're
remember
not glass,
I
they're
re-
plastic and they're LEDs.
it came down when the tattoo parlor said they didn't care if it was there or not. As I recall from their COA application. They didn't want the thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm glad to have it back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's part, I mean, we had it running for quite a few years. We took it down probably, it came down when Sanford Law Firm come in.
Yeah.
He didn't think that was quite appropriate. I thought it would have been good for his business. I should have kept it. It's up there. No, it's either I'm gonna put it back up or we're gonna waste it or try to sell it.
Well, I think it needs
'Cause
to
I
go
gotta
back.
get rid of it.
I like the idea of it going up, yeah, going back.
I just wondered who repaired it.
Yeah.
All right, any further
That's it.
questions? We have a motion?
Motion.
All right,
Yes.
I have a motion by Judy Galloway to approve the COA as submitted. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
All right, I have a second by Mr. Allison. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? All right, COA is approved. All right, we'll move on to our next item. That is review of COA for 201 North Commerce Avenue, a contributing structure from 1895 in the district to remove a 20-foot section of the exterior wall and rebuild with old brick and type S or possible type N mortar. Welcome back.
Thank you. Yes, so this is a COA application. I did hear from the applicant this morning that they believe that there's additional time with this, that they really intended to start the conversation with this application so that they could hear your thoughts regarding guidelines, regarding appropriate repairs, so that they could potentially go back, draw up some appropriate plans, and resubmit this for your review. So given that, I am going to try and go quickly through what I had prepared for you all regarding the staff report, and then I believe, is this Dan? Are you Dan? Dan Nicholson is back there, and I think Bob Heigl, are you working on that? Okay. So there's two people here who may be able to ask questions or have discussion with you all regarding this. So with that, the application stated that they're looking to repair approximately 20 feet of this structure around this door. You can kind of tell in this first image on the left that around that door you can see a little bit of a hole where the wall has potentially moved a little bit. So 201 North Commerce, according to our records, is the historical location of Fleming's Drugstore. It is a contributing structure to the district. It is located at the corner of North Commerce and B Street, and it has been home to PFG Construction for a few years. Prior to that, it was Dan Nicholson's business that he operated out of his own building. The downtown is being redone, but the street along B Street has not been paved in this section. We're waiting for resolution regarding this structure, is what I understand. This building was originally constructed around 1895 and retains a very simple storefront. It's a late 19th, early 20th century commercial building. This is only a single-story building when typically those are 2 to 4 stories. Most of our buildings in our district are a maximum of 2 stories. Actually, I think all of our buildings in our district are a maximum of 2 stories. The first floor has transparent glass fronted windows for display along Commerce. There are some round windows to let light in on B Street, which is the side of the building. It did face Commerce. Simple detail at entrances and cornices, transom windows along the frontage on North Commerce. There is a bulkhead present. The proposal is to demo a portion of the south-facing wall and rebuild it reusing what brick they can and mixing in with other historic brick found in the district. So they're going to try to reutilize the brick that they use, that it has taken down. But if there are brick that they can't reuse, they'll get it from some of the other buildings that we've lost in Russellville. Design goals are to preserve the integrity of the structure. The proposal is to rebuild a portion of the south wall facing B Street to ensure that the final wall is structurally sound, maintain character defining features of the building. The original cross support stars are in a location in the portion of the wall being rebuilt. I did not word that very well there. Ensure that the stars are replaced and the cross-sectional supports remain. I know you all are pretty familiar with that those stars are there to keep the structural integrity across the building. And so that we want those to be replaced. Avoid alterations that would remove or obscure historic character. They're rebuilding like for like is the proposal that I have at this time. Enhance the perception and appearance of the historic character. Again, rebuilding like for like. They're not going to be repainting any unpainted brick, so if they have to replace brick that's not previously painted, they will leave it unpainted. They are trying to restore some damaged historic features in that the wall is damaged, it's structurally unsound, and by rebuilding, they are restoring all historic features that could be lost if this work was not completed. They're not proposing to reconstruct any missing historic features, so they're not saying, hey, this was here and something's being rebuilt. As we look at the design guidelines, brick masonry and sealers, the wall has shifted approximately 2 to 4 inches from its original position, creating concerns regarding its long-term stability. The proposal is to remove and reconstruct approximately 20 linear feet, which may increase once they start work, of the existing brick wall using salvaged or matching historic brick to restore the wall's structural integrity. The applicant is proposing to use type S mortar because the wall is load-bearing and requires a mortar with greater compressive strength. The Secretary of the Interior's preservation briefs regarding mortar selection for historic masonry suggest that mortar selection should be based not only on structural demands, but also on the hardness, durability, and historic characteristics of the masonry units. Under severe exposure conditions, type S may be appropriate for hard cord brick and granite materials, while type N mortar is often recommended for molded brick, limestone, and other more permeable masonry units. Based on that information, staff is not prepared to recommend a specific mortar type without additional evaluation of the historic brick and existing mortar composition. While type S may be justified, type N may be more compatible. And the applicant acknowledges that modern Portland cement mortars would not be appropriate for historic structure and has indicated a willingness to use the mortar type ultimately recommended by the commission. 10.11 demolition, the applicant is proposing to demolish a portion of the wall and will only go beyond the proposed 20-foot section to ensure adequate structural stability of the entire wall. They will rebuild the wall with historic brick, reusing as much of the existing brick as they can salvage. 10.14 entries. The main entry is not being altered or impacted. However, there is a side entrance, and the applicant intends to rebuild the entrance in a like manner as it currently exists. Roofs. 10.23 roofs. Staff does recommend that we ensure that the roof is rebuilt and repaired in accordance with the guidelines and preserve the building's roof line / parapet wall line, that it remains the same. It's a stepped wall, and we would want that to remain the same, as that's what the guidelines recommends. 10.33 walls. The applicant intends to use as much of the original existing brick to rebuild the wall. However, damaged or brick that cannot be reused will be replaced with other historic brick. The applicant intends to match the original in scale, texture, color, and finish. And the applicant also acknowledges that unpainted brick shall remain unpainted. So I've got lots of things here. First, based on the information that I got today and whatever conversation you have, you can potentially table the project and request additional information, or you can approve the project with the following conditions: use type, whatever you guys determine, mortar, because staff does not have the adequate information. Ensure that all permits and inspections are completed through fire, building, and safety, and ensure that the historic preservation officer is included in any changes to the application and periodic inspections to ensure compliance with this approval. As a result of the findings that the proposal is to rebuild a deteriorated portion of the wall facing B Street, the applicant will comply with the mortar type approved. The applicant intends to reuse bricks from the wall being deconstructed. The applicant will utilize other historic brick from another deconstructed historic building for areas that they do not have sufficient original brick. Any brick that has not been previously painted will remain unpainted. The applicant does intend to comply with the design goals and has shown an intent to comply with sections 10.6, 10.11, 10.14, 10.23, and 10.33 of the Russellville Downtown Historic District Guidelines. Tried to be as quick as I could. Are there any questions? Do you want to hear from Dan?
Can I ask just one question?
Yes,
I didn't
absolutely.
I didn't see it in the application. And are they withholding doing the Russellville dig projects on that street until this is worked on, this is complete? What did you say about that?
I think I'm going to let Fire Marshal Setian
Okay.
respond to that answer.
Okay.
Hey, Richard Setti, I'm fire marshal and building official. My issues are a little bit different. We were concerned about a compromised structure because it's actually bowing out. That wall, that south wall is bowing out. We've been actually looking at it for a while. There was concern about doing further work on the roadway until we had someone, an engineer, not myself, look at that. So at the very beginning of June into May, somewhere in there, the city of Russellville brought in an engineer, and I've got all the paperwork and the write-up with me if you want to see what it is. But basically, his opinion is that, number one, we need to shore it up immediately. It's a compromised structure. And we don't need to do any work. I say the city of Russellville doesn't need to do any work on that road until it gets at least a temporary shoring. Now, the temporary shoring is something that's designed like by a Bob Hegel, and he can tell you what he is proposed for the temporary shoring. When that's done, that is done in a way that you should be able to proceed with the construction. But yeah, we're in a little bit of a jam because Blackstone is, we all know they've been trying to finish up and the downtown's being held up and nothing's going to be done until we get that shored up. Now, as far as my position now has to do with public safety, okay? And so when an engineer tells me you need to fix it now, it can collapse at any time, now it's on me. Now it's on the city of Russellville. So we've already blocked off the area where you can't park, and we don't want people walking on the sidewalk. And the reason is we don't want that thing collapsing on somebody. So while we do want to look at the way it's going to be permanently rehabilitated, in other words, the reconstruction, we're against the clock as far as shoring it up temporarily, and therefore proceeding with the construction. Myself and Mr. Nicholson have met with the mayor, and we're trying to be fair, but we want, as a matter of fact, we're pretty close to the 2 weeks. But once I was told that it needs to be shored up, I kind of laid out a 10 business day, 2 weeks to get that shoring process started. How long can we temporarily shore things up? Well, 30 days gives us enough time to design, an engineer and architect to design, and y'all to look at what's acceptable. But our time is kind of the issue on this one. And so I don't know if I answered all your questions. If you want any, if you have any technical questions, Bob Hegel is here to answer, like how he might shore it up and how that might affect things. But anyway, I don't know if that answered your questions.
No, that was good for me. Thank you.
I have questions for Bob.
Mr. Nicholson, we're sorry to hear about your building.
Bob, are you familiar with multiple white construction of turn-of-the-century buildings, how they're put together?
This building's a little different than some that I have worked on in the past.
It's multi-white construction.
Yeah, but it's
Low
hollow in the
American.
middle. Most of them have triple white and they're solid brick walls. This is got an interior and an exterior wall with a hollow cavity in between that is interlaced somewhat, but not completely. And what I have been doing was working to design a shoring system that would hold up the roof rafters as well as the areas that are bowed the most around the building, around the door in the building on the B Street side.
Well, I've been doing a lot of research
Okay.
and on just that type building.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked to a structural engineer that has expertise in historical buildings. And there are ways to fix that wall without taking it down. I talked to Joe Hilliard from Cromwell and Associates in Little Rock. They've done a lot of work in Pine Bluff on those buildings that are collapsing. And he said he would be glad to come up and give an assessment, because everything I read says if you're undertaking a project like this, that you need to have an engineer that specializes in heritage construction.
I agree.
So would Mr. Nicholson be amenable to having this?
Please say again, I didn't understand.
Would Mr. Nicholson be amenable to having this structural engineer with that kind of expertise come and do an assessment?
I would expect, I hope so. Oh.
Would you?
So far, I have been able to design what I feel like would be a temporary structure to hold.
Well, I'm not talking about the.
Yeah, and I have not been involved in any designs for rebuilding.
But this would probably not require the wall to come down. There are ways that it can be put back together in the void field that doesn't cause, you need to use lime-based mortar because it breeds.
Understood.
If you use type S or type N, the bricks will spall and crack.
Understood.
So that was my question.
Well, I think it would be appropriate to have someone that understands those old buildings to help design the permanent fix.
And, Mr. Nicholson, your building is eligible for state and federal tax credits. But you need to talk to Tom Marr before you do the work. And I don't know if I tried to contact him today to see if there was some kind of way you could go ahead and get started before you got approved for the tax credit. So I'll have to work on that tomorrow, because to get, just as an example, if you spend $100,000, you would get a tax credit of $55,000, which you can sell to a bank in St. Louis for 87 cents on the dollar, and they'll pay you cash next day.
Yes, come on.
I was going to invite you to approach so we can ask what work you've done. Yeah, thank you.
Here I am, back in Russellville.
Welcome back, Dan.
Because I really want to save that building without taking the wall down.
Thank you, Ms. Galloway. I'm glad to hear that. Repeat the name of the engineer, if you would. And where
His
he's
name is Joe Hilliard. I have his phone number, and he works. He's
where?
partially retired. He worked for Cromwell in Little Rock.
Little Rock,
And
okay.
they have done a lot of work on your type building.
Glad to hear that. I have also consulted with an engineer who has done much work with historic buildings.
With this type wall system.
Kings Row, the two rows that Bob mentioned with the void space.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes mortar
Well,
is used, sometimes
they are
horizontal.
hooked together. Every sixth course on that brick, there's
Yes.
a brick that goes.
Yes. I did receive, I guess that might have come from Sarah, information that maybe you had researched or someone had.
Yeah, it was
and
me.
Emailed that to me. Obviously, I want to get the situation corrected. Because not only did that building serve me well for 16 years when my business was operated within those walls, it has been a very viable commercial lease space for my tenant,
And it's
Premier
right on the
Facilities.
corner. It's very visible.
They really like it. So all of this was kind of abrupt and disrupting when it all came to light. They've had to vacate. And of course, my concern is getting it rehabilitated, restored, and getting my tenant back in there. You hear all your life about fixed income, and you really don't think much about it until you get to retirement and understand what a fixed income is. That lease space is part of my retirement income. And it's not that I live high and mighty. I mean, you just plan on certain things. So I am anxious to get it done.
I'll be glad to send that to you.
Pardon?
I'll be glad to send you
Please,
Joe
please,
Hilliard's
please do.
information.
I mean, Sarah's got my email address.
I think it's on your application. No, it's not on the application. I get it.
Okay. Great.
Okay?
And it's not that, not to come off sounding selfish, that I want to get it, restored, because
We want to
my
get it.
retirement income relies on it. I'm damn proud of the building. I was enthused in 2006 to acquire it and have loved it.
Well, I want to keep it.
Yeah, well, yeah, so do I. I mean, it's a great building. It is on a corner. And with what is happening with this project, it's tremendous. I think I told Richard and the mayor one day, and just about anybody I run into, it's transformational what this project is going to do for Russellville downtown. Certainly the historic district, but for the community at large. And there I sit with this really nice corner that my tenant loves. And he's like, we want to get back in here. So we're anxious to do that.
Well, I talked to that gentleman today, and I called Cromwell, and their guy that works full-time is too busy. So he contacted Joe Hilliard, who worked for Cromwell in the past, and he said that he would be glad to come and give you an assessment.
Well, that's good to hear. His opinion, his judgment, the gentleman that I hired from Rogers, who has been down once and taken a look at it, and he kind of concurs with what you're talking about, that it can be done without a complete demolish and rebuild. I got to tell you, I've had professionals in the industry run some numbers. It's not going to be cheap.
No.
And I'm really between a rock and a hard place on this in terms of the liability. Who's responsible? And I'm fighting that issue right now. So we'll see how that goes. I've been up here numerous times in the last several weeks, and most recently speaking with the mayor, with Richard, and other professional people involved with that project, contractors, subcontractors, so forth and so on. So, I met with people off and on all day today, and that will not stop in the foreseeable future.
Well, I'll get in touch with him tomorrow and get you that information.
I would like, did you email me any of the information about the tax credit situation?
I gave you a couple handouts through Joe's alley, but
And I will try to get in touch with Tom Moore again. He's the state tax credit guy.
Okay.
He's the one
Now
who...
that I need knowledge on. I'm deficient in that area.
It is a dollar for dollar tax credit, up to a certain percentage of the project's value.
Yeah. I don't remember whether it was Richard or the mayor or somebody early on. It's like, I have a contingency fund for operational things that, come along with a property like that. HVAC, roof, which that, was done a few years ago. But I don't have the kind of contingencies for $100,000 plus, situation.
I've done two.
Pardon?
I've done $200,000 tax
Okay.
credits and gotten the cash. And the state tax credit money you get is, I'm pretty sure it's not taxable. When you get that
Dan?
35% back.
Yes.
If you will reach out to Tom Marr, in a case like this,
Tom who?
Tom Marr with the Arkansas Historic Preservation Program. That's who Judy is
Yeah.
talking about.
Well, resource information, if you guys
But once
can
you
just-
touch base with him, many times they will give you the go-ahead to move
Yeah.
forward with your project and while you're getting your paperwork pulled together. So
Okay.
that would be a great thing, because it sounds like what the fire marshal is talking about, this project needs to be expedited in regard to moving forward.
Yeah,
Because we really don't want to lose your building.
okay. Well, I'm gonna trust I can get some resource information on that and kind of move forward. You know, my concern is, again, to get it restored and get it done as well as possible to meet the guidelines. I do have one question about, in trying to follow along with all that, restoring the brick, I mean, using antique type brick, I guess.
Well, it would have to be brick made before 1930 because they were made a totally different way.
Yeah. Okay.
I can send you an article
My
on that.
concern was attaining the right brick and placing that in there on a rebuild. It seemed to be specific about brick that is put into the wall that is unpainted has to remain unpainted.
No,
even-
not in the wall, exterior.
No, I mean, that's what I mean, the exterior. I mean, so the building is painted now. So we're going to have color and then splotches of new unpainted?
No, I don't think that's,
I think
it doesn't mean
That's
singular
a general
bricks.
reference, I think, in there, that if you had an area that had never been painted and you were replacing that, you
Okay.
don't need to paint it
Like,
back. But if
like
you're,
this
Okay.
building.
yeah,
This
if you're
buil-
already
Well,
painted.
and this is probably not for this forum, but I'm going to throw it out because I back and forth by remote from Hot Springs, where I now reside. Had this not come about, I wanted to start a process to try to achieve some type of grant to repaint the whole thing. And I would like to still do that once we get this compromise wall situation done. So I guess that can be done.
Well, Danielle at Main Street, they give out grants for that.
Well, depending on timing, if the city gets that call,
Right.
we are applying today.
We've gotten one every year, though.
I
I
would
mean,
ass-
Main Street has gotten
Dan, I
money
would
every year.
assume what you're asking there is if you're in the plan to repaint the whole building, would you be forced to go to the extent of repainting and patching
Yeah,
up
temporarily
the
patching things.
fix
Yeah.
instead of waiting
Correct.
6 months to redo
Correct.
the whole building? So
Yeah. And I'm just trying to do something similar to the color used at the 500 building, what I call chalk white.
We don't do color.
Pardon?
We don't do color. We don't,
They don't approve color, but we do have recommended colors, and white is not necessarily a recommended color.
No.
But we do not approve colors.
Oh, so that's up to my discretion then? Or,
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
recommended colors that
Okay.
are appropriate for the district.
okay. All right.
Okay, well, Dan,
That's all I have.
I have to say I appreciate you get all the involvement that you've got with the engineers, architects, and
Yeah.
working with the city to resolve everything. So appreciate you doing the right thing. All right, so you guys have a motion.
motion to table.
Do we need to have a motion for the temporary and then to table the full application?
We
Do
don't
we
know.
have anything with
We
that?
don't know what the temporary is.
Sarah?
Yeah.
My understanding is that the temporary structural, like shoring up the wall, is internal to the building on the inside versus the outside? It's both.
So,
But we don't have a COA for that, do we?
yeah, but are we overridden on that with the emergency of
Yeah.
shoring
I
up
would
the
think
building?
so.
That's gonna be an override of us.
And that's a temporary shoring up, so can they just go ahead and do the temporary shoring of the building without a COA?
It
And then they
seems-
can come back on the repair that they're going to do next month?
I would say, I mean, if it's non-destructive to anything
Yeah.
that's gonna be there after the demo, I mean, if you're doing something and it's gonna be torn down anyway, but yeah.
I see a head saying, yes, it's not gonna be destructive, that it's going to be temporary, so I don't know that they need anything
No.
for that.
So I
So
move we
yeah, we're-
table.
Okay, so I have a motion to table and a second. Any discussion? Or,
I thought we needed to do something so that they could do the temporary shoring up.
I think we just agreed we don't have anything
Yeah.
to do with that temporary, so they can move forward if
They're-
that,
Okay.
our decision would be towards the permanent solution of,
Yeah,
okay,
Beverly. And a second.
okay. So we want to table that. Will we have the stuff, just, what, as soon as they get stuff ready to bring back?
Well,
or
typically, you table to the next meeting, so
Yeah.
I'll coordinate with Dan, and whoever he has me coordinating on the application with for that. The next meeting would be July 30th. Dan, do you think that's a sufficient amount of time to get some sort of plan together?
He hopes so.
Maybe?
This is not my bailiwick,
Okay.
so to answer to that, I'm not sure.
Well, and if it's not, you can just get with
So,
Sarah. If it's
yeah.
not, then we'll get it as soon as you have your stuff in the next meeting.
Yes.
Consuming my time, so obviously, I'm trying to move on it.
Yes,
We need
absolutely.
vote.
Okay, all right, so I have a motion and a second to table. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, so that motion is tabled until the owner has the information ready for the next available meeting. All right, we'll move on. Next one is a review of the COA submitted by Christy Graham with Russellville A&P for a vinyl wrap of the I Heart Russellville to be applied to a traffic signal box located to the northwest corner of the First Security Bank block at South Commerce and West Main Street.
So it's next to the cornerstone.
Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Hahn. I'm an intern with Sarah John Dahl's office at the Office of Sustainability and Resilience. I'm trying to get this to show up. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so what we have here is a certificate of appropriateness for an art box installation on the corner of Main and North Commerce. And we have like that graphic right there, what it would potentially look like. So the traffic controller box, it's a non-contributing structure. It's located at the corner of West Main and North Commerce in the historic district. It does not currently contain any decorative graphics or signage, and it's surrounded by public sidewalks, streets, and the historic district buildings. So according to our guidelines, 10.18, mechanical equipment and utilities, it's solely the installation of vinyl lettering on an existing traffic controller box. And it does not, we don't propose any mechanical equipment, utility connections, or modifications to existing public infrastructure. The installation is not going to interfere with the operation, maintenance, or accessibility of the traffic and signal equipment contained within the controller box. And 10.20, murals and freestanding public art. This is a proposal for new lettering, promoting community pride for the city of Russellville, and will comply with the guidelines, including maintenance, weatherproofing material, and we have gained written permission from the property owner. 10.21, parks and public improvements. This is a minor enhancement to a pre-existing public infrastructure, and it will not alter the public right-of-way or impact pedestrian walkways during application. And 10.27, signage. This installation adds lettering to an existing public works utility. It's appropriately scaled and it has simple design features, and it's limited to just the traffic controller box. It's not going to obstruct existing functions that it performs. So staff recommends that the project is approved with the following condition: that the vinyl lettering does not cover or interfere with access panels, locks, fence, identification labels, warning markings, or other operational components of the traffic controller box, nor shall it create a traffic or pedestrian safety hazard. And we find that the proposal to add the I Heart Russellville is one of the goals of the Historic District Guidelines to add unique features in the community. And the applicant intends to comply with the design goals for the historic properties as noted within our guidelines. And they have shown compliance or intent to comply with 10.18, 10.20, 10.21, and 10.27 of the guidelines. Okay, any questions?
Is this actually a wrap of the whole box like we've done other ones around town, or is this
No.
look similar to the picture with more of just the? Uh-huh.
So it may be a little bit larger than that, but he did not get back to me this afternoon on his exact dimensions.
Okay, but it is, so the intent is it won't be a complete wrap of the whole, it's,
All of our other ones have been complete wraps.
okay.
Could you go back to that photo, please?
Yeah.
So there's usually a complete wrap of that box. And, I mean, have all of y'all seen the other wraps around town?
Yes, yeah.
They have an 8 to 10 year lifespan, so I mean, this is a long term. Okay, sorry. They have an 8 to 10 year lifespan depending on the direction in the sun and all that, so it will be there for quite a while.
That was my question, since it refers to paint in the application, whereas it's vinyl, actually vinyl wrap.
They are. And that is to, since we're paying so much money for them, to try to get the most life out of them. So, yeah.
So 10 years.
8 to 10 is
8 to
what
10.
Nick Oots with the Sign Hub has told us on all the others. And so far, we've had 0 issues. I think we're in year 2 or 3 of those. So, I mean, those are already and still look brand new.
So it'll be white surround, where will it have the I Heart Russellville? Is
The
it
I Heart
just-
Russellville will be facing West Main. That
Okay.
was my request,
Okay.
is that will be on Main, so as people are
So
crossing,
the
they can
text
see
just
it.
won't wrap, but the color will?
Correct.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He didn't call me back. My question to him is, for the same amount of money, if he's wrapping it, could I put it on both sides possibly? So that may be, but he hasn't got back to me on that. Yeah.
All right, any further questions? Have a motion?
A motion?
All right, have a motion to approve the COA. Do I have a second? All right, Michael.
I'll second that.
All right, Mike, a second by Michael. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the COA is approved as submitted.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next one, review of COA submitted by Katie Cole for installation of a water station with ADA paving from the nearby sidewalk and located at 202 West C Street, which I believe is on the end of the depot, Grassy.
Yeah, it's on 320 West C Street, so the depot. There we go, okay. Okay, so this is a certificate of appropriateness for a water fountain on the 320 West C Street, so near the railroad depot. So it's south of the railroad tracks along B Street, so. The proposal is on the Missouri Pacific Railroad Depot property, which is an independently listed property, but it's with the lawn area away from any historic structures on the property, as close to the right-of-way as possible. According to our guidelines, 10.21, the applicant intends to install the water fountain in a manner that is accessible to all, because we need to be ADA compliant, obviously. We need, so 10.21, parks and public improvements. The applicant proposes to install the water fountain in a way that it will not compromise the historic character of the district, and it will be in scale with the character of the district. And 12.1, which is general standards, the applicant is proposing to add a water fountain, and the project is not going to inhibit public access or pedestrian activities. And the proposed filling station is a minor public amenity that enhances accessibility and usability of downtown Russellville while remaining compatible with the guidelines. And staff recommends that the project is approved with the following condition: that the water fountain will comply with ADA to ensure accessibility and will not obstruct or inhibit pedestrian activities. And staff finds that the proposal to add a water bottle filling station with pet bowl accessories is one of the goals of the Historic District Guidelines to foster community pride and promote growth and economic stability within the downtown historic district, and enhance development through partnerships with business people and the government. And the applicant intends to comply with the design goals within the Historic District Guidelines, and the applicant has shown compliance or intent to comply with sections 10.1, 10.21, and 12.1 of the guidelines. Okay. Any questions?
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Steve Hausman. I represent the Russellville Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'm a graduate of Leadership Class 40 for our area, and this was our class project. Yes, ma'am. The color scheme that the class had chose was the blue. There are 4 colors that come for that model. I think it's green, blue, there's a gray, and possibly a black. I think the blue, we chose that color because it stands out apart from the grass that it'll be sitting on, so it's easily identifiable, but also it's not as harsh as a black or dystopian as a gray. And the green would kind of blend with the grass, so that was the thought process there.
Do you intend to pave around it, because it seems like it could get quite muddy?
Yes, sir. I expected that question to come up because of the picture. So that because it is going to be an ADA compliant structure there, you're going to have concrete that is at grade and be wide enough to satisfy ADA compliance. And that'll come right off that curb there.
So the concrete will come from that water fountain down to the walkway, or?
Yes, ma'am. It'll be facing the Commerce side of the road. That would be the access point. Mm-hmm.
I love the idea of this project because it may reduce plastic waste.
Absolutely.
And that's a big deal.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I think it'll be good. I know it gets hot down there in the summer with all of the awesome events going on, so I could see kids, pets, and parents using that pretty frequently.
So I can't fill my plastic water bottle up with it?
Sure can. Over and over again.
Now, if you guys haven't seen any of these, I think Lake Dardanelle State Park put about 2 or 3 around throughout the park. They're very handy, especially the little dog bowl on the bottom,
Yeah.
because you can just press a little button and it fills and drains. So they're neat items.
Yep.
So.
We're proud of it. I'll also add that we've had a number of community leaders, residents, organizations, businesses that help sponsor this project, and we will have a plaque displaying those names on the actual, I think on the fountain, correct? Next to it? Okay. Okay. So there'll be a little plaque that stands up and represents the community members of the past and present that helped make it possible. So.
Okay. Any further questions?
Appreciate
Motion? All right, I have a motion by Ms. Hooten. Do I have a second? Second by Suzanne. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, COA is approved. Thank you, guys. All right, next item on the agenda is vote on a letter of approval for the Historic District Commission to accompany the Paul Braun grant application.
There is no presentation with this. The city of Russellville is applying. Today is the deadline for the Paul Brun Historic Preservation Grant. We are applying for $750,000, of which we intend to sub-grant out over $700,000 to owners of historic properties, either within our downtown district, within Old Town Neighborhood District, or to any individually listed property that is not owned by the federal government or the city of Russellville. Unfortunately, those are some restrictions. We can't apply for our own buildings. But I am requesting a letter of support. I believe you have all seen said letter of support, and I just need your approval on that letter of support.
I motion to approve the letter of support.
Have a motion and a second. Did you get that, Betsy, a second?
Okay.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, approved.
Thank you so very much.
All right, and next one, discussion about the rocks next to the building behind the north side of B Street and next to Depot Park.
That was JP.
Is it that one? That was me, J.P. Leonard.
Do we have pictures, or do I just, no pictures, I'm just gonna wing it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I had some pictures that I sent, and I would have loved to show them.
Did you send them?
I did send them through a text.
Can you pull that up and pass it around and just take a look?
Okay. Let me open my phone.
I went and looked.
Did you go look?
I went,
Rocks are
look.
still there on
I went and looked.
Okay.
Is this behind your building?
It's behind my building, and what they had done is, in the building we're talking about is 320 West B. So the building we're talking about is 320 West B Street, and it's the back of the building that kind of well, it does face the park. And there was a section that they, I guess they put some wires, cables, I don't know what they did, but they put a bunch of river rocks. And as time has gone by, and I took pictures of these, the rocks are disappearing. You know, people are taking the little ones and painting them, and the big ones they like to move to the flower beds, and I'm usually the one that moves them back, and I'm kind of tired of doing that. And so I've left it alone, and it's just, I don't know why people are moving the rocks. I would like to get rid of the rocks. The city owns the rocks. We could probably find a flower bed, one of the newer ones that the city, not me, but the city can relocate. And then my suggestion was to get, you know, working around those pipes and all, to get something that looks flat, like brick, and I took pictures of this, that we could maybe have chairs and have a seating area for the ice cream, Cool Cat Creamery, maybe have some tables with some umbrellas, make it look a little nicer that can be utilized. It's not that big of a area, but it's big enough to, and I'll pull up some pictures, and I guess we'll start with Betsy, and I'll pass them down. Oh, let's go. Actually, it's this. So it starts here. Okay, Betsy.
Does he need a COA on this?
Well, I guess we're discussing it. Do I need a COA to do this project?
Not to discuss it.
Do I just start raising money for this
The
project?
question really would
I
be,
guess I would
is
get
he
the-
going to need a COA? Could he just change out the rocks?
Who
Like-
owns that property, though?
I know I take care of it. When the weeds get crazy, I poison
I
kill.
am not entirely sure
But I don't
who
think I
owns the
own it.
property, because the property lines on the Pope County assessor maps are
I
I-
thought the property
not
line-
perfect.
I thought the property line through there was on the back of the building, and there's actually a small easement that runs
Yeah, that's
through
what I
there is
thought.
what I'm thinking. There's a sewer and water and utility easement.
And then you go,
And the second thing I was gonna say is, I can't remember if that was
is that right? Yeah.
Kurt Jones that was here at the time when they did
Yeah.
a bunch of that, but there may be some issues in there where some of that was incorporated related to water drainage from gutters and that running down through there, so I'm not sure if any of that is there to let water, if there was maybe like a French drain, something that got that. I just remember that used to flood. I worked there at 314 for years before anything was done. The water used to come in the back door because there was.
Seems like it slopes down, and when it gets behind legends, there's a
Seems like there's a drain or something.
Yeah, and that's what I was, yeah, so I would definitely make sure somehow through the city, maybe look back at how that was designed. There may be some integral pieces along with those
James,
utilities.
do you want to
but-
put this up on the screen?
Yeah, Public Works or something.
So, Greg, to kind of, to your point of who owns the property, if you look at this map, I have lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then I have parcels, and I'm not entirely sure. So JP's building,
It looks like it's butted right up against the building, and it seems like when I talked to Kurt Jones, when I purchased the building, because I was gonna do something there, I think at the time the caboose was there, and I was gonna put something, a porch or a deck or something, and he said, no, the city, so I didn't do anything.
I think all the utilities will run up through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Park and so forth.
And I could work
think
around
that's- I
that.
think that's when that was all done, when they built the stage and redid, yeah.
I see a lot of the rocks
Oh,
are
now that's,
missing.
okay, I was thinking some of it you were talking about was on the, I was thinking of that other little, isn't there another strip on the other side of the sidewalk that's got a bunch of rocks in?
No, it's the wall.
So
Oh,
that's the
okay.
wall, that's the space, and then this is
Okay.
what, I think this is what you're,
Well,
it's okay, it's not your
yeah, I
fault.
think that's all
My fingers
utilities, but I
touch.
don't think it's gonna stop anything from being
You're thinking
put on
this
the
flower box
top of
maybe?
it.
Well, where in the world is it? I got a picture of it.
so would he need a COA to do that, or could he
See, that's not-
coordinate
That's been bare.
and figure out who owns the property
Yeah.
and just put a flat area in there with some like bistro tables, some whatever he's saying? Does he need a COA for that? Or can he just coordinate and we can move forward? That's the,
Probably needs to find out who actually owns that property first.
okay?
I mean, I would say,
By the end of there, but if it is a utility access point that was done when they built Depot Park, maybe something like, maybe some peat gravel or something that provides a more solid surface, rather than something concrete that would have to be broken up if you had to get into those utilities.
I was thinking about,
And so I'm not trying to design this project.
Right.
yeah.
I'm just saying, probably the first thing he needs to do is
Brainstorming.
actually find out
Who
actually
owns that?
Okay,
You would know if, are you able to do something with that? And even if you don't know it, you have to contact somebody, find out what you can do to make that a more attractive area.
Yeah.
Someone might love for you to make it attractive.
I'll bring your rocks back.
Yeah,
but the
you got
question
them?
then, the question, so if he goes through that process, we find out maybe the city owns it, maybe he owns it. Does he need a COA application?
I would say if you're replacing rock, stone, gravel, or something there, no. If you're gonna start putting benches or something, that's probably gonna is that gonna jump into our purview of review for
Probably.
benches or other
Yeah.
features that would need to be reviewed and approved?
I went there.
So a combination, okay.
Yeah, but I don't
Because
know
I
that-
think that's really what the discussion item needed to be, is like, he wants to do something.
Yeah.
Let's find out ownership, but then find out, does he actually need to go through that COA? So yes, okay,
Okay, find out who owns it, and then go to the ceiling.
yep.
Gotcha. Because maybe someone who owns it will say, or the city will say, we'll help you. 'Cause I can raise money for, yeah,
Keep thinking that way.
yeah.
Make it an animal deposit strip in there.
Oh,
and then
that'd be
peop-
great. So
then
it'd be real
people
nice
won't
and
mess with the
fertile,
rocks.
fertile
Yeah.
and stinky like the rendering plant, and then, yeah, come on down. No, we don't want to do that, Greg.
All right. Okay, unfinished business, vote on revised bylaws.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you remove section 6 about members being required to be familiar with the ordinance and bylaws and attend CLG training at least once per year?
Okay, I think I gave someone my copy.
You need a copy?
I don't know,
You
I
left
don't
it
know.
out. I didn't print off The old ones. This was in the old.
You said I left out section 6, which was what?
All members are required to be familiar with the ordinance and bylaws and attend CLG training at least once per year. It's not on the new ones.
That was definitely an oversight, because I know that you all, I'm just looking through them really quick.
I can send you a copy of the old ones again.
I do have the old ones.
Okay.
Sarah, can we postpone that to our next meeting so we have a chance to edit?
Yes, and I can update that because there should be the requirement that you're familiar with the guidelines. There's a lot to, this is not just a traditional commission where you don't have a lot of training, unfortunately. Michael and Jason, I don't know if you knew, you signed up for a lot of training. But I think it's important to have that training, to have that understanding, and so I can definitely revise these and get them back to you.
Speaking of training, have you had anyone let you know that they want to attend that preservation conference in Hot Springs?
So I did have training on my, kind of the slideshow presentation. We had a very successful Windows workshop in May. Everyone who attended very much appreciated that. It was very, very good. In July, Greg is going to NAPC in Minneapolis. We're looking forward to that. I'm presenting on the last full day of the conference at the end of the day. Sheesh, the whole time I will be worried about that. I don't know if you all were aware, but I did nominate you for Commission of the Year with NAPC. You all did not receive that award this year, but they did congratulate you all on your outstanding efforts. And I did want to pass that along because I thought that was very nice of what they said in that letter. And I can forward that letter to you all. Then October 21st to the 23rd is the Preserve Arkansas training in Hot Springs. JP has confirmed that he can go. Dr. Warnick has confirmed that he can go for the camp training, but that he cannot attend the whole training. Michael, I have not heard anything from you.
I was going to catch up with you today on that. I'll actually be speaking in Washington, D.C. and San Diego on those dates.
I don't know if that... Okay, so then let me revise this real fast. We have 2 spaces open to attend camp, to attend the Preserve Arkansas training. If anyone is interested, I will be all ears. I don't remember. I think it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, yeah. Well, we would love to have you attend with us, and then, so JP did confirm if Regina can go, who else would be interested in attending? So Beverly or Suzanne?
I'll have to check my
Okay.
schedule and see what's going on.
If you could let me know. I have already made the reservations. They're all under my name. I'm getting all the points. Oh, wait, it's at a government rate. There's no points. But I did make the reservations, and I did sign us up for the conference so that those spaces were held.
How many can you take?
3 total. So I've got JP, Regina is checking, and Beverly is checking. We'll have a great time in Hot Springs. I'm not speaking at that conference, so I can relax a little.
So can, what was the prices?
So I'll be in contact with Regina and Beverly. If they can't go, I will open it back up, and Judy, Betsy, or Greg can go on another trip this year.
I'll be
think-
in Japan.
Okay, so Judy or Betsy might be able to join you.
As many of those things as I have been to over the years, I always take something away. It's just like, it's just food. Just take it in and, you always have takeaways, so, and it was a great conference last year, it was in El Dorado. Yeah, always good stuff.
And I'm not sure of the training opportunities that we will have next year. NAPC is every other year, so that won't be happening next year. And I believe Preserve Arkansas is every other year as well. So we'll see what they announce at the conference this year. It would be good if they're able to have it every year so that we could have some kind of training. I am looking at what we'll include with our CLG grant for next year as far as training is. I really want to continue offering training opportunities here in the community. So. I,
I don't think people realize how difficult it is for us to sit up here. I mean, we live in a community where everybody knows everybody, and we all want to be able to move people's projects forward. It can be very difficult, in bringing up those questions, and Michael had a really good question earlier, that at some point he would get.
My question was, I think my understanding of the way the law is written, or the act was written that instituted all of this, is that our job is to advise and provide guidelines to make sure that people stay in compliance with their properties. They do opt in to be contributing structures, but it's not our job to tell them exactly how to do it, as far as require them to do a project a certain way.
correct.
It's more that the finished product is in line with the law and the spirit of the historic district.
Yes, they are guidelines, so they are adopted by resolution at City Council. They're not a law. But given that the intent is to stay in compliance with our historic district, so we have to have at least 51% of buildings that are contributing in the district to retain the National Register Historic District classification. So we are looking at properties, especially when they're currently contributing. We don't want to lose that status of contributing.
Right.
But that's why I think we went to the good, better, best.
Right. Yeah, so specifically on Dan Nicholson's property, with that one, it really, it's not a moot point, but it doesn't matter at this point who he consults with or how the project is completed, whether the wall's taken down or saved, that from the beginning to the end, that it is a contributing structure at the end and it's done correctly within the guidelines of the project, correct?
Yeah, it's kind of there's a fine line in there though, because we've had individuals come in before and then go do something, and then it's like, oh my gosh, what did they do? And it was, in hindsight, it's like, oh, if somebody would have said something. And I think that's what she was trying to do, is say, hey, there is a difference, and if you need a recommendation, here's a name. But you're on the same hand, you're right. We can't say, hey, if you don't use this person, then we're not going to approve your COA. But we've kind of kicked ourselves before because we sat here and assumed somebody knew something they didn't, and we think, gosh, if we'd have only said something, it could have turned out different. So.
And the other thing is helping someone avoid doing the treatment that is going to be really detrimental to their project in the long run. Part of that is, what is our responsibility, because what is our mission, is protecting them. I think that
certain type, all bricks with new bricks, it could work in the short term, but long term, it
I
Well, and I will say to that point, noting that like Fan Christensen's building originally was a non-contributing structure and it's moved to contributing. We had fewer contributing structures when we were originally listed in the district than we do now. And so I think that's because of the work that the commission has done and the guidance that they've done to help bring those buildings into construction. It just kind of solidifies and helps strengthen our community.
And one thing that I'm sorry.
No, go.
I'm an example of someone who bought a building downtown before there was a historic district commission, and the money I wasted, I don't like to think about it, because knowing what is best or are good, better, best, is so important. And if we can educate our community about those kinds of things in the built environment, that's what we're here for, in addition to protecting our history. So, and we have some guests here that may want to say something. They've stayed till the end. Yeah.
Oh, that's on Thursday night.
Oh,
Do you have that notice with you?
Wrong commission.
we were originally going to do Thursday, and then we moved back. So that's why our agenda has Thursday, the 25th.
I know. I wonder if they, well, so many people say, oh, nobody reads the paper, nobody reads the paper. Thousands of people read the Courier. Those are people who have access to things like meetings.
So do you get email them and ask her, like training and stuff? She's always talking about the emails and the videos you can watch and the live stream and stuff. I don't get
I just don't want to get into it.
Oh,
I don't think it's
Yeah.
worth
well,
to get into
What else we
She
have?
said, hey,
well,
let's
you know,
adjourn and
know. Is that something you get emails for, or you don't?
I get a lot of emails now that are related to fundraising for historic projects. But I don't get a lot, much. I don't
She
get
would
much.
send things in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
So ask her, be sure to ask her about that. I'm sorry.
You good?
I'm good.
All right. Anyone have any further business?
I had a
Oh.
question, but I had a quick question. You're talking about training and all that, you know, in the beginning.
I missed that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me? You know, in the beginning, you would send occasionally like an email or something that we would be able to watch a training or watch something where you would get, you know, I guess you have to get so much credit every year, right? For training
You're
or
supposed to have 2 different trainings per year as commissioners. I don't know how many hours, but we just have looked at 2 different trainings.
Okay.
I thought you should be getting emails from NAPC.
I haven't been,
never
I haven't, all I got was my quarterly
I've
magazine.
never gotten anything from them. That's why I was just gonna
I
let
have,
you know. I
yes,
just wasn't sure.
I have updated the email list with them
Because the ones you would send.
several times.
Do check
I
your
know.
spam because they they
Okay.
come through and a lot of the emails treat them like solicitation
Well,
type
mine,
stuff. so-
mine don't come through. and
Because the
I've
ones you would
always
send
got-
along were really good.
Well, and I guess I can start forwarding those. I just
I don't
have,
wanna create more work for you.
I just have
If we
so
could
many
just
emails every,
It
I
would be
will
good.
start forwarding emails
I
to
don't wanna
you all.
create more work for you though.
No, I can forward to the commission.
But they were good ones, so I was just curious because I knew it had been a while.
Well, and they have training every month. So
Okay, that's
you
what I was
should, so I'll try to remember the one that has the free code, because you want to take it for free, because you
Right.
are members of NAPC, because the commission is a member of the NAPC. So I'll try to remember to send the one that has the free code, so that you can log in, register for those. Even if you can't watch it when the training happens, they do send the videos out afterwards so you could watch it in the evening or on the weekend or something.
That's what I did.
A certificate.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, how you got, if we needed to
Yeah.
have credit for that. I wasn't sure.
It's advisable to have the training because there's a lot of things that as commissioners, you guys are just asked to kind of know a little bit more than some other commissions as far as the guidelines and historic preservation and appropriate reconstruction repairs that maybe some other of the boards or commissions are not necessarily tasked with. So again, Michael and Jason, welcome.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
In reference to Barbara's concern, years ago, Main Street Russellville had a very polite card. Do you remember those, Betsy? That mentioned that business owners did not take up space in potential customer spaces. And I don't remember exactly how that was worded, but it was very friendly and a reminder not to, that, parking was important to
Guests.
the businesses, and people couldn't stay there all day or conveniently park in front of their own business and deny a customer space. So
That's what they're talking about. The
Yeah,
proposal has,
I'm so sorry that happened.
no,
Yeah.
there's a proposal that they're working on at city council.
Great.
And they got the notice that I sent out to every property owner in the district saying that there were 2 applications for all of the owners regarding the guidelines update and the ordinance change. Additionally, in addition to the paper document, I sent out an email kind of explaining what that letter was in relation to. They got that confused with the parking ordinance because they're both going on at exactly the same time. They impact the exact same people, and so that's kind of some confusion. My notices for Historic District Commission are a little vague that we've been sending out. And that's why I had followed up with an email. But again, there was still some miscommunication because there is that parking ordinance discussion that's going on at City Council.
Those friendly little cards were before email, text, Facebook. So,
Can you come up to the microphone?
Well, this all really come about because of one person actually been trying to run me out of school, out of business since she moved downtown. She has gone to other businesses, talked about our clients and our students and their clients. Their clients come in for services and they might take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 hours. That client, and a lot of them are older, they want to get color or perms or something, and students are building their clientele so they can have clients and go to work. And she has constantly harassed, threatened our students, constantly. She's putting notes on their doors, threatened to have their cars towed, and might not even be by them and tell them they're not allowed to even park on Commerce at all. And so that's one thing. But if you tell somebody, okay, you can park there 2 hours, but you cannot park on that block, no matter what, for another 2 hours, how many people are going to go to a store and they don't have time to go eat because they got to move? Are they going to move, find another block to go to and come back? I've had people telling me they're discriminating against us because we're old, because we can't get our services done, and they're really upset. They said, we're not going to, we'll come get our hair done and we'll go. We can have students move our clients' cars, so that's not going to bother us, but they said they will go to other stores. I don't want them to destroy downtown daytime business. They're not going to hurt nighttime because nighttime's going to boom. And they're trying to make an entertainment center. They're going to succeed.
But downtown businesses, if people quit coming downtown, and we brought customers from Fort Smith, from Little Rock, from Harrison, from all over, because our clients and our students are from all over. And I'm not worried about it. I just don't want to see downtown destroyed, and that's what I think this is going to do, because if they say, okay, you park there or park on that block, after you move, you can't park there for another 2 hours. You got to go to a different block. How many people are going to do that? You know? I can't. I'm going to be out of state.
Well, this one's out of our
We don't do
overview,
parking.
Well-
but we appreciate you sitting
Okay.
through our meeting, though. But
Submit those thoughts on paper or have a duly appointed representative come and submit those comments for you, because those deserve to be heard. Because, I don't want them to destroy it. I've been here from 82, I've been here 44 years. Or 44 years. And we've done nothing but try and build downtown. And our students, we got them working all over, and not just in Russellville, but all over. And they bring clients and they come downtown. So
we
I
hope
hate
to
to see it destroyed.
we hope the council will make the right decision for what's best for all of downtown. So
Well, they said that they're going to have you okay the ordinance to do that downtown. But if you don't pay it within 2 weeks, you get a $50 fine. How many people are going to be afraid, hey, if I'm on here and I'm not back in 2 hours, I got to park in a different block? That's. And they said, well, we're going to make a couple of areas for all-day parking. What's that going to do? And a lot of people don't want to walk across the railroad track. These older people can't. So anyway,
well, we appreciate you sitting through our meeting, though.
if you want, I've got a few things here that says something. If you want to pass them, and then you guys can pass some. There's not enough for everybody, I'm sorry, but that way it's got some of the costs.
But someone can have these for a city council, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just thought, everybody needed to be aware of everything that's going on and how people coming back and complaining to me about it.
Thank you. All right, we do have new business here. Any COAs approved by staff in the February?
No.
Since the February, okay. And last one, in honor of Betsy, for the good of the order, preservation is in the business of saving communities and values that embody. They embody. I didn't even read it right, Betsy. You got to take back over. Yes, motion to adjourn?
Well, we
All right.
gotta finish.
Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion. Second? Second. All in favor?